State chapters of the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have decried the condition of the Nigerian worker and called for the urgent review of the 70,000 naira minimum wage as the country celebrates the 2025 May Day today, press reports. This comes just as Senate President Godswill Akpabio said the legislative and executive arms of government will not shirk out responsibility to work together to address workers' concerns and create opportunities for growth and prosperity. However, organized labor leaders across the country said workers were worse off since the emergence of President Bola Tinubu, despite his assurances that he will not only pay the workers a minimum wage, but a living wage. And the second discussion segment shall focus on wage review demands by labor unions. And our guest, who is standing by on Zoom, Comrade Igbokwe Chukwuma Igbokwe, Deputy Secretary General, Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, is here. Good evening, sir. All right, thanks for joining us, sir. I will first of all use this opportunity to congratulate Nigerian workers. Happy Workers' Day. But the question begging for an answer is, Comrade, does Nigerian worker has a reason to actually celebrate the Workers' Day today?
Yes, of course, yes. Workers' Day is a day set aside for Nigerian workers to remember those that have pursued this struggle from beginning, those that laid their life for this struggle for we to get to where we are. The struggle was for 8 hours work. The struggle was for workers not to be treated as slaves. The struggle was for workers to have decent work environment, and some people stake their life for it. And at the end of the day, in Chicago in 1886, in Hay Square, some people risked their lives, some people were condemned, some people were killed, some people were sentenced to life imprisonment. But at the end of the day, that 8-hour work was granted to workers. So today first is to celebrate them, those who move that struggle for us to be where we are, and for recognition of workers, and for treating us as human beings and not as slaves. That's number one. Secondly, it is the period after remembering those that led the struggle. We also look at how far we have fared, and how far have we fared in terms of the treating workers in the scheme of things. Workers have not been really treated fairly. Workers have not been seen as partners in progress, and workers have not been seen as the geese that lays the golden egg. That's the issue. But in terms of contributing in the production, in terms of contributing in realizing the dreams of the government, workers have fared very well. But in terms of compensation, in terms of carrying us along as the partners in progress, in terms of seeing us as those that contributed to the running of the government, we have not fared really well. That's where we
are still demanding for a review of the 70,000 naira minimum wage. But some critics argue that the frequent wage increase demand by labor unions could perhaps affect the overall economy negatively. Some have argued that it could cause inflation, worse than we are currently faced with, and that could also bring about retrenchment, because employers of labor may begin to down tool in order to increase the remuneration of Nigerian workers. How do you react to this?
Well, my reaction is that it's laughable. Well, it's laughable because why is it that the workers who are the one that facilitate the process. And when it's come to rewarding them, somebody's talking about how is inflation and whatever. No, it's wrong. That's how I react to it. How I react to it is that workers are the partners in progress. Workers are the one that generated revenue for this country. No matter how you look at it, workers are the ones that the geese that lays the golden egg. So they should be rewarded appropriately. So anyone that is coming off with the position that should not be rewarded, that no, it's not in line, it's not in tune with what are as labor leaders. So workers are the geese that lays the golden egg and should be treated very well. Wherever you're talking of revenue generation, in FIRS, in custom, in wherever you think it is workers that generate revenue. Some government may think of employing a consultant and whatever, but at the end, it is what worker generates that the consultant converts and present before the management or the government. So workers should be treated with respect, and they should be part of the partaker of the dividend of democracy.
Perchance there's another increase of wages for Nigerian workers, especially government workers, and there become demand also for improved business practices, maybe more assignments per person. How can labor unions balance this need for sustainable business practices and ensure that there's long-term employment for the workers and that they are not retrenched, and also ensure that there is also long-term growth while they are also delivering on their assignments?
Well, let us say that in all, workers are the geese that lays the golden egg, like I said. Well, in terms of employment, it is subject to vacancies we have. And let me tell you, it is not just employing a consultant. What does consultant have to do in the scheme of things? At the end of the day, workers will generate revenue, workers will generate all the revenue, and the consultant will take it and key it in and say that, no, we don't fancy it. Workers in all the establishment, the revenue generators, are the people that generate revenue. So the use of consultants should also be limited to a situation where it should be recognized that workers are the people that generate revenue. What is recognized? Fine. Give the consultant his percentage, but also at the same time, give the workers that generated revenue what is entitled to them. So let me let you know that all this issue of using consultant is also drilled down to workers, civil servants, public servants in those MDAs who are the people that are unpaid. Consultants can never produce the workforce that will go everywhere. It is still the workers of the federal and state government that goes down to the field and generates the revenue. So all the consultants do is just to take the glory and take their percentage. Workers are the golden geese that lays the golden egg.
With the recent economic downturn that Nigerians are faced, some industries are worse hit. They're actually in precarious situations. How do you address the public's, or rather, let's look at the labor unions here. Is it possible also that when negotiating wage increases for industries such as I just described, that they adopt some kind of strategies away from when they are advocating for workers in probably government establishments?
Yes, I don't have problem with that, because in terms of negotiation for increase and so on. Hello there. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Go ahead, sir.
Hello?
Your voice is loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah. In negotiating terms and conditions, it is proper. Like I said before, who generated revenue? They are workers. Any other person that is telling you he's this and that is no. The workers generated revenue. And you cannot see workers that generate revenue at the end of the day. When it's time to compensate them, you start telling stories. Workers, our workers are the people that generate this revenue. They are the people behind it. They are the consultant is working with workers. When workers generate revenue, the consultant take the glory. So at the end of the day, workers should be adequately compensated for the job they are doing. That's my position on the matter.
Changes in labor laws and regulations appear to influence various unions' approach to wage demands. What future legislative changes do you advocate for to support the various demands placed by labor unions?
No, the legislature have taken care of it. The last discussion we had, I said that minimum wage should be reviewed 2 years after. And after 2 years, minimum wage should review in line with cost of living, standard of living in this country. We do not wait for 5 years or 6 years. Say wages should be reviewed after 2 years, after 3 years. And that is what we are looking at. Because we should look at the antecedent. We should look at the indices that is available to us for which to be reviewed. Which should be reviewed consistently within a period of time. Avoid people going on strike where it's not necessary. If government follows the wage review, labor should not go on strike. Labor should not picket. Labor should not protest. Government follows it. Once it's 2 years or 3, they do the review without labor even coming into it. In a situation where government is not doing the right thing, that labor will come and activate their organs and activate the processes. If government sticks to the processes and do it the right time, labor should not bother to activate.
Immediate wage increases. What long-term strategies should unions focus on to ensure comprehensive worker welfare, workers' benefits, and workable workplace conditions?
I said the law said within 2-3 years, rate should be reviewed. In the process of review, within 2 years and 3 years, we should look at indices. We should look at what we have, what the economy is saying, and then review our wages. Once the law gives us that latitude, then we can review and come to terms with the present condition.
How about the metrics to measure success of wage negotiations, or should it be just anything goes?
Wage negotiation is determined with indices of the economy. The last wage review, you know one thing about wage review. Wage review has to take care of, one, the private sector, the public sector, the private sector, the small and scale medium enterprises. That is what affects wage review, particularly what you had to do with minimum wage. You know, minimum wage is different from salary review. If we stick to minimum wage, we are talking of a wage that when it comes out, every average employer should be able to pay it. And the cost across small and medium enterprises, multinational, states, local government, federal, and so on. That is it. So if we have to stick on that, we will say that it has to do with review. And the review have now stick to 2-3 years. So once it's 3 years, the wage has to be reviewed to look at what we're earning and what should be added up.
Economy. Is it possible for local unions to maintain a sense of solidarity among workers especially when they face stiff competitions that operate with economies that operate under different wage and regulatory standards. I know that Nigeria in the past, in the recent past really, especially when the conversation around subsidy removal was on the front burner, you hear some government spokespersons say that we pay the least for oil comparatively. Now, when it comes to wages, do we also have the situation where, for instance, if a particular kind of job is rewarded, the wage elsewhere is like $100. That's when it comes to Nigeria, the wage will be converted to Naira, equivalent of that $100 to Nigerians.
No, we cannot talk about that because that is something you are imagining. It's an imagination. An imagination because we have not come to a situation where every wage in Nigeria is translated from dollars. Let me also tell you that if somebody is earning 1,005 in a developed country, the issue is that what can 1,005 buy in that place compared to what equivalent to 1,005 can buy in Nigeria. So we have not come to that. We can't go to that level to say, to measure what wage in abroad can do here. No, no, no. Because sometimes it doesn't work like that. It's about let us deal with what we have. Let us deal not with who is earning what in abroad. Let us deal with what somebody is earning in Nigeria as maximum. We can be saying, okay, a director in the Federal Civil Service is earning this. Let's use it and take example and see how far it can take an average civil servant. Not talking of what somebody is earning abroad. Because somebody can be earning 3,000 abroad. And when you convert it to Nigeria, it will be big money. But in abroad, in UK, what will 3,000 pounds do? What extent can 3,000 pounds go to solve problem for somebody in UK? So that is the problem. So we cannot be measuring it like that. Thank you.
Okay. This year's theme for the Workers' Day celebration is reclaiming a civic space under economic hardship. Reclaiming the civic space. Is it still possible for Nigerian workers to be motivated enough? I'm talking about with the current minimum wage, to be motivated enough to be optimal in his performance on duty.
Let me let you know something. An average worker is not about money. It's not about how much is paid. An average worker in Nigeria is talking about motivation. Is not about salary. Motivation comes with fringe benefit in Nigeria. The issue is recognition. The issue is acceptability. The issue is recognition of that position. The issue is how do you assign recognition to that position. That is one thing. So every Nigerian worker is looking at, in your computation, in your calculation, how do you put his office? How do you put his schedule? Is it just to answer a name, or is it recognition? Even in what do you call it? Referencing office. Somebody can be given office and called a name. The person is more interested in the name, not the money that comes in. So it's something we have to address. It's not something that is holistic. We are getting there, and shortly we'll address it.
What I mentioned earlier on, and that is job displacement, and maybe because of skill gap, or even because of paucity of funds. How will that also be addressed if it happens?
Well, in terms of job gap, we are praying and waiting that things has to be addressed. In terms of paucity of fund, you are not talking of mainly public sector. In terms of public sector, we don't talk of paucity of fund because more funds has been budgeted. But when you go along private sector, you talk of revenue in line with expenses budgeted, which you have to have review. If somebody is generating 1 million and the expenses is 2 million, it has to be reviewed. In terms of public service, there is an avenue where it can be remedied. But what I'm trying to tell you is that in labor, we first look at the organization. What can the organization give? What is the capacity of the organization? Can the organization remedy this? Can they manage their expenses? Man can manage their expenses with their revenue. Those are the things we do. But I can assure you that as we are, we can do the more to ensure that presently expenses and revenue, in fact, revenue should or surpass expenses.
Most times that the organized labor agitate for the Nigerian worker, it would be basically on wage increases. Are there long-term strategies that this union should focus on to ensure competitive workers' welfare? Talking about workplace conditions, talking about benefits, other than just the wages?
The labor movement have not just struggled for wages. Labor movement have struggled for work conducive environment of workplace. Labor union have also subscribed for giving equitable rewards. Labor union have also looked at the situation of workplace environment. So labor union have not stick to what should be given to people. They are looking beyond that. So what I'm trying to say is that as we are going far beyond remuneration. We are going far beyond compensation. We are looking at workplace environment. We are looking at what it is that is available. How has the relevant agencies, relevant organs taken care of its members? We are looking at a reward for hard work. We are looking at compensations. How far have we done that? So that is what presently the unions and its apparatus is looking at. We have gone beyond bread and butter as far as trade union is concerned. We're looking at conducive work environment. We're talking of viable compensations. These are the area we're looking at. And that is where we are now. So we are saying that workers should be adequately compensated. Good working environment should be created.
We appreciate your contribution on the program this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Comrade Igbokwe Chukwuma Igbokwe is the Deputy Secretary General Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria. Wage review demands by labor unions was our focus on this segment. Stay tuned, we shall return in a bit.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.